Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, let's get the Jocelyn and Trina stuff out the way because I'll be honest with you, I'm not really interested in that stuff. It just comes across as too much, I don't know, Disney Channel for me. So I'm not really a fan of like their story and their storylines. I don't really care. But long story short, Trina told Jocelyn that her and Cam kissed. They were going back and forth about this whole, does Cam like her or not? And after a while, I was like, oh, okay, we're still doing this. And then Trina just came clean, and Jocelyn was surprised. And okay, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I think she's a little bit more just surprised. I think she might have a little bit of resentment because when she was sitting there talking to Trina, she was like, well, what should I do? Should I just ask him? And if I ask him and he says no, then I'm gonna feel dumb. I'm like, well, why would you feel dumb unless you like him? Like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really care so much about it, but it's there, so it's like, all right, whatever. To be honest, I used to actually fast forward through a lot of this stuff. I remember when I was watching back in 2001 or whatever, when you used to have like Dylan and Georgie and Maxie. I used to fast forward through all their scenes because I just didn't care. But yeah, I slightly don't care. Yeah, I got it correct. I slightly don't care. But I think I think Jocelyn's a little tight about it, Like she kept asking like, well, do you like him? I mean, do you like him? You could tell me if you like him. Like, why does that matter? Do you like him? Like, so anyway, they kind of just squashed it or whatever. I think Trina just kind of just squashed it, and then they talked or whatever about Cameron, and then Portia and Curtis came, and Trina acted somewhat decent. So I don't know. Every time she gets an attitude with Curtis, it just, not gonna lie, it kind of annoys the hell out of me. After a while, I was like, oh, seriously? We're doing this whole bratty attitude again. Like, I get to a point every time she starts with Curtis, I just look at my phone because I'm just like, I can't. So let's talk about Nell and Michael. You know, Nell really dropped some truth in this episode, and it's funny. It's funny because Brock TV was kind of what put me on that perspective about Michael, about how Carly pretty much runs his life. A lot of these women in his life pretty much just run his life instead of having him do stuff for himself. And this episode just brung it home. This is after. Oh, by the way, I know this is soap opera logic, but he's out there. He's looking for his son. So you think that, I don't know, I would have a gun or maybe a knife or something. No, I just have my car keys and a flashlight. You're Sonny Corinto's kid. Your uncle is Jason Morgan. And you decide to look for this deranged woman with flashlight and car keys. Wow. So anyway, he peeks his head through the door like an idiot. It's like this stupid game of Peekaboo. And I'm just like, when Nell smashed him over the head with a lamp or whatever, I just laughed. I just laughed. I wasn't even one of those fans that was like, oh my goodness. I was just like, that was hilarious. And I thought he was actually knocked out. I don't know what was going on in this episode because he looked like he fell, like he was knocked out for a minute. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I wrote in my notes, knocked out. Next thing I know, I see them in another scene, and they're like struggling and everything like that, and I'm like, does this guy just catch a second wind? Like, what? Wow. Anyway, they're struggling back and forth or whatever. They talk, and this is pretty much when Nell just drops some knowledge like, yo, about the whole relationship, about how pretty much Carly ran the relationship from the start. Didn't let him love her, never stood up for her, and which, by the way, it actually wasn't true about that. He stuck up for her a lot of times. Like, he went against his family a lot of times, but just about the whole, Carly is running his life. Yeah, that much is definitely true. Wiley started crying. Nell ran off. Mike went upstairs to talk to a damn teddy bear, because that was the other part of this episode that was just funny. The whole time he's sitting there talking, and all you see is this little round shape, and I'm like, that looks like a stuffed baseball. So anyway, he's sitting there talking to this stuffed animal. I'm laughing my ass off at this point. And, Nell is about to get away, whatever, but for whatever odd reason, she gets lost. So Carly comes there, and Michael and Carly talk for a little bit, and then Carly's like, I gotta sit there and stop her, I'm gonna go after her. And then Jax comes in afterwards, and Jax is like, where did Carly go? And Michael's like, oh, well, she ran out to Nell. And Jax was like, and you didn't try to stop her? Why? Or you didn't try to come and get me? Why? And that's the part that just became, for me, really evidence that, like, Michael sometimes just doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. Like, why didn't you go and get Jax? If they fought or whatever, Jax could be there as backup or something. Like, he didn't think of any of that, and I'm just like, yeah, a lot of times, and maybe I'm just not seeing this because I don't really pay attention to Michael that much, but they really make Michael seem very incapable or incompetent in certain situations. And that, anyway, long story short, Carly and Nell argue for, I don't know, I lost track. And, Nell does her usual spiel about how everything is always somebody else's fault. And, Carly pretty much sets her straight once again. And then Nell decides to run. I don't know why she didn't decide to run before, but she decides to run. And then, she somehow is dangling off a cliff. And Carly just kind of stands there and looks like, I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, Carly, so you're just gonna stand there and watch her fall? Because I'm totally cool with that. I just want to make sure that's what you want to do. But anyway, she decides to be a good person and tries to grab Nell's hand, and I'm like, okay, all right, I see exactly where this is going. We all at this point see where this is going. If I got to be honest with you, if no one saw where this was going, they've never watched like a suspense or action movie in their life. So, long story short, Nell falls to her doom, or her death at this point. And I'm just like, yes! She's gone. And I cannot be any more happier. It's funny because right before I started, recording or whatever, I was sitting there looking at past villains or whatever, or villains of Sunny, and I saw Ted King there, and the last thing that he did was Hawaii 5-0, and that was in 2016. And I'm sitting there thinking, why haven't anyone tried to call him back? Have him come back as a third character or something? I mean, this is like 2000 or whatever, when they thought it was a good idea after they messed up about killing off a character that people like. Oh, we'll just bring him back as a twin. What is Michael Easton on, his third character now? But anyway, Nell is gone, and again, I could not be any more happier because I think at this point, a lot of people were just done with Nell. And I feel like I kind of talked about her too much already, but she's gone. I'm a lot happier now. I'm just like, okay, cool. So let's get in an actual villain that actually has some depth, that could be a little bit misunderstood, and it's not just acting like a child, like a grown ass childish girl or guy, whoever. So I'm looking forward towards that. Okay. Let's quickly talk about Brooklyn, Ned, and Olivia. 1 second. Well, nothing like a little sneezing fit to sit there and remind you that you're not exactly out of the woods yet as far as you still getting over from being sick. So, let's talk about Brooklyn, and sorry if my eyes are watering, I was sneezing for like a good minute. 1 second. So let's talk about Brooklyn and Ned and Olivia. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because, well, let's be honest, all their scenes was after a point was flashback scenes. Brooklyn kept having flashbacks of how Ned treated her, kicked her out the house, and Ned just kept feeling guilty. The reason why this bothered me was because a little bit after Brooklyn woke up, Ned pretty much said he was sorry. You're my girl, whatever. 1 second. You're my little girl, whatever. Like, pretty much he said everything that he wanted to say as far as, like, getting it out of his chest or whatever, getting it off his chest, just kind of clearing the air. Brooklyn couldn't talk, but she had that look like she forgave him and, accepted his apology. So I felt like this episode was just kind of undoing a lot of what yesterday in the episode before was already trying to establish. The whole purpose of him saying all this stuff and her reacting the way she did was that way they could move forward, they could just start anew. And all this episode did was just go backwards with them. So I really wasn't a fan of this episode, and just them, I don't know. Anyway, just them whole going backwards. I wasn't really a fan of that. Okay, so let's the last scene, because this. Oh, there was some scenes with Jordan and Curtis, and Curtis pretty much admitted that the reason why Portia and Tiger couldn't get along, couldn't get back together, was because she still had feelings, or she still couldn't get over Curtis. And the only reason why he wanted to sit there and say that is that way in the future he could just dodge a bullet. I mean, he made it seem like he was all like, I just want to be transparent with you. I just want to be honest with you. Just being honest with you. I was like, bro, listen, and this is not something saying like, all men cheat or whatever, but I feel like this was more of a, I'm going to cover my ass for any future thing that happens. This way, she can't sit there and say, well, I didn't tell her. That's literally what that scene was, and I was just like, bro, she may not have understood what you just said, but me and you, no. I understood exactly what you were trying to do. Other than that, he was sitting there talking about how he felt guilty about Tiger, and yeah, that was pretty much about it. They talked about Portia and for a little bit, and yeah, I just thought that was funny because it's like he was like trying to buy insurance for any future thing that happens. This way he can just cover his ass. That's a good one. That's a good one. I may actually use that one day. No. Let's talk about Sonny and Tiger and Jason, because Sonny pretty much gets filled in on the whole thing about Tiger faking his death, this, that, and the third. And then Sonny asks a really dumb question. And this is coming from a guy who, like, Sonny is among my number one fans, like, as far as my number one favorite characters, between him and Jason. But he asked a really dumb question. So since you're dead, no one's going to suspect you, so why don't you just kill him? Why don't you just kill him? What do you mean, why? I mean, listen, I understood the logic behind it. I don't want to get my hands dirty. Everyone's gonna sit there and point to me or whatever. But the fact that he was not the same, well, you're already a dead man. I'm like, yeah, because if he kills him, then he's never gonna see his daughter again. So that's number two. Number one, your right hand man is right there, and you're just like, no, why don't you do it? If I was sitting up in that bed and he said that, I don't even want. I don't even want to sit there and say what I was thinking I was going to go and say, but I was just like, why don't you do it? They go into this back and forth conversation for a little bit, and then it really goes nowhere, and I kind of wonder why he was even there for, because I mean, all he said was, look out for my daughter or whatever, and then he just disappeared. And then Sonny and Jason were sitting there talking, and Sonny was like, well, the reason why they don't want to kill Cyrus is because if they kill off Cyrus, then they're just going to bring somebody else in, and, it'd just be the same thing over again. So they're like, you know what, listen, let's just make the business go bad for him. Then his partners will lose confidence, and we'll just go somewhere else. So that's the plan. Their plan is pretty much to just, give Cyrus enough of a headache until Cyrus looks bad, and then he'll just go away. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, not that I don't like Cyrus, because I really do, but I'm also sitting there thinking, if you kill him off, then you guys could just bring back Alcazar. I don't care which one. You can bring in a third brother. I don't care. I just want back Ted King. But, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much the plan. Plus the whole, killing of him would be kind of bad timing for Mike, because, I'm not gonna lie, they're still just dragging out this whole Mike scene, this whole Mike story, they're just dragging out, and, I'm sitting there thinking, like, dragging out stories. I was like, they've been dragging out this whole Michael baby story for, like, what, a year? 2 years? Yeah, so that's, that's actually it. That's actually, yeah, that's gonna do it for the review of GHA. Some funny stuff that happened. I think the best part, again, is that they killed off Nell. I'm happy. I know some people probably like Nell, and they like the fact that she stirred up trouble. And listen, it's always good to actually have a good shake up to kind of rattle the characters and see what they're going to do and, keep it interesting. But she was a one-note character. And her whole thing was just so dumb. She's a grown-ass woman that that keeps blaming Carly and everyone else for how her life is. And it's just constant, just this immature nonsense. After a while, it's like, I am so over it already. So when they sent her to Pentonville and we didn't see her for a while, it's like, good. What other villains do you got? But the minute she came back, I was like, shit. So, yeah, I'm happy that she's gone. Now, I don't know for certain that she's gone. I'm probably going to sit there and see if I can read about it, if she is actually gone. Because, with these things, they're supposed to be gone, but they're not gone. It's like, what was his name? Not Morgan. Like, they didn't actually see a body, so technically they can always bring him back. So I'm wondering if it's just one of those things. But at least with Morgan, like, the actor, like, he actually left the show. So I'm just kind of wondering if it's the same thing for who played Nell. I mean, kudos to the actress. She did a great job. So I never had a problem with her. She was like a natural with it. So, but anyway, that's actually going to do it for this recap. I know this was kind of long. Apologies. But this was a lot to unpack. And, I don't know. I want to see how Michael's character is going to go moving forward. Because, yeah, letting your mom run your life. It's so weird. Because I never actually really paid attention to Michael like that until I watched Brock TV. And and I heard his perspective on Michael and how his mother and pretty much all the women in his life just kind of just running his life. And then I was like, well, damn, you're right. But anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Let me know in the comment section if you like this episode. Do you like the fact that Nell is probably gone? Or do you miss her character? Yeah. Have a good day. Good night. I will catch you in the next review.